In this video, I'm going to talk about the only things you need to focus on to rank on page one on Amazon. Now, ranking on page one on Amazon is literally the only way you are going to make any money on there. But when you do get on page one and when you get on the top half of page one, there's a lot of money to be made. It goes crazy. The only way I've been able to make over $500,000 in sales in the past 12 months is by getting to the top half of page one. That is literally all you have to do. It's simple to get there, but it isn't easy. And every time I have deviated away from these few simple things that I'm going to talk to you about, my sales have dropped. So there's five critical components to getting onto page one on Amazon. And each one of these is what gets the algorithm going in your favor, and they all kind of work together. So instead of just focusing all your efforts on one of these, you've really got to be getting all of these right, and so they're working together, and then you honestly just become unstoppable on there. But you have to really get them all working in motion together, and then honestly, you just won't believe the sales that happen when every single one of these components is moving in the right direction. So firstly, we're going to talk about our images. Now, you could probably put this into two, but your main image, and this is why I could split images into two different sections, is that your main image is just so important. You've got to get that tested, dialed in, keep testing it, keep iterating your main image endlessly. It's a never ending game to just keep improving your main image. And why I really want to drill this message home is because if you think about it, if everything else stays the same, your conversion, everything exactly the same, but you increase your click through rate, which is the key metric to determining how successful your main image is. If you increase your click through rate from 1% to 2%, you've doubled your sales. As soon as I realized that, I realized just how important the main image is. And it's vital to your success on Amazon. If you think about it, you're scrolling on Amazon, there's a bunch of products on there. How do you stand out? Main image. That's the it's critical. I cannot stress this enough. Your main image is so important. And then if we go beyond the main image, you've got the rest of your listing images. Now these are just so critical into how you're going to inform the customer about your product. Like the customer cannot feel, hold your product. So you have to tell the story of your product. You have to give the customer a really accurate representation of what your product is, what it's like, what the features are, what the benefits are. If you do that well, it will convert. And that brings me on to number two, which also helps with conversion, is the rest of the listing itself, right? So you've got your A plus content, you've got all your copy, your bullet points, your title. But this part of the rest of your listing, what's so important here is the keywords you put in there, the SEO you have there. You really want to have that good balance between something that reads well, something that looks good, but also you've got all your big keywords in there. And even some of those smaller keywords that you really want to rank on. And sometimes you can play around with this, so shift them around a bit. And this is something that honestly I just always think I don't do this enough is refreshing my SEO, refreshing my listing. Now, three, I think this deserves its own category because it's just the most important factor of why a customer buys your product is its price. If you get your price right and your product is converting well, you will rank well. Your ranking will improve. It is the most important factor for conversion on Amazon. One thing I really want to push on here is your price really has to be congruent here with the rest of your listing. So if your images are really good and can really tell the customer how premium your product is, then you can maybe look at increasing your price and having a price that reflects a more premium product, even if your competitors have a lower price. But if your product doesn't do that, if your listing doesn't tell a premium story, doesn't really get the message across to the customer that this is actually a premium product, then if you've got a higher price than competitors that are selling the exact same product, you're just not going to convert. So you can't just say this is a premium product just in your title and expect customers to just pay more. It just doesn't work like that. So make sure your price is right and do your research on what you can actually price your product at. And the fourth piece of, as you can see, this synergy of factors as to why you rank on Amazon, it's going to be your reviews. Now, part of me didn't even want to include this in here because this is a scapegoat as to why products don't do well on Amazon. It's so easy to just go, oh, how can I compete with someone that's got 1,000 reviews? Well, if you get all these other aspects right, you can still compete. But you won't be able to compete if you have like 1 stars, if you have no reviews, if you have 3 stars when the rest of the competition has 4.5. So you've got to get some social proof. It's still a very important factor in how you convert on Amazon. But I got to stress, don't kid yourself that your product's failing just because you haven't got reviews. If you've got everything else dialed in, and I mean dialed in, then maybe we just need to get the reviews up a bit. But ultimately, your good reviews are going to come because your listing has told a great story, your listing has given an accurate representation of the product. And then when your customers got the product, it's actually a good product. That is how you get good reviews. There's no real hack to getting good reviews unless you buy them, which is just going to go against Amazon's policies and you're just risking losing your business. So it's just not worth it when you can just get them by having a great product and compliantly requesting reviews. And then over time, it will snowball. But that one does take time. And that is why it's so important to get the rest of these other components just dialed in. And then the reviews will come anyway. And then the conversion increases again. And now you can really see how this is all just working together and building and building and building. And then you become unstoppable. So don't be a victim to reviews, basically. And the final thing, which I've saved till last, is getting traffic to your listing. Now, the reason I saved this till last is because you really do want to have all this other stuff dialed in. Now, you want to keep improving it over time, but you really want to have a good foundation for all this other stuff, with maybe the exception of reviews because you can't just get that straight away sometimes. But you really want to have the other stuff solid before you start pumping traffic to your listing. Now, I've always just got traffic to my listing through Amazon PPC. That has taken me from 0 to over 500K in the last 12 months just doing Amazon PPC. That's been all my focus. Now, there are other things that are worthwhile doing, I think. Like, I do think for certain products in particular that running some social media um, traffic to your listing is going to be worthwhile. Like if you've got a particularly good product that can go viral on TikTok, is just a TikTok product, then you can get organic reach to that. So it's like it's free to do. So that to me seems worthwhile. And to be honest, this external traffic is something that I'm going to be looking at in my own business more and more once I've maxed out PPC on Amazon. But the beauty with PPC is that you can just target all those specific keywords that you want to rank on, that you know you convert well on. So you can get really specific with some of this. And that is quite expensive, Amazon PPC. But as I've said before, if you've got all of these things working in motion, working together, those costs you pay for each click are going to convert. And so therefore PPC doesn't really become too much of an issue if you've got all these other aspects going. And that's why I didn't want to mention traffic right up front, because is that these parts all work together. Like you get traffic to your listing and then you've got quality images that convert and you've got good SEO, so your Amazon knows to rank you on those keywords. The reviews then start to come organically and it's all just moving in motion, in motion. And that is where the magic happens. And it's not easy to get that all working in motion, but that is what you got to focus on. Like when you think about it, that is quite simple. It's not crazy complicated. But what is probably the hardest part of this is just staying focused to the task, staying focused into just keep improving on all these aspects. And then it's going to happen. You can't not rank when you're doing all these things. So I hope that was useful. Focus on the basics and just do the basics really well. I'll catch you soon.